What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Coinbros. We are your guide through the greatest industry on this little rock spinning through the universe in the simulation that we all are lucky enough to be a part of. And I'm glad you're here with me. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good week. I think we have about 12 days to really kind of see what direction the industry is going, but I am very optimistic. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about the war, of course, because that's the big world news. And it's directly affecting everything in the industry, and we'll talk about that. So we're going to talk about some predictions from some very rich people, and they're right half the time, right? So you can't always take what they say, but they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're putting a lot of money into the industry, and we'll talk about who that is and what they said. And we're just going to talk about what's going on today and what we can probably look forward to in the next 10 days. So let's get into it. Top stories of the day. What's going on today? Okay, so Bitcoin, I think it's around like 72K right now. We spiked up to almost 73 with the news of the ceasefire that nobody really knows what's going on, back and forth, right? But there has been a ceasefire for the next 12 to 14 days. There hasn't been any attacks. Well, there was some attacks, but not like the agreement that was made. I think it's holding up right now. And we'll see, how long that goes. So if this does hold up for the next 12 days, I think we're going to see some green. It looks like things are setting up to head towards 80K. That's optimistic, right? We'll see. But that, if we go back up to 80K with Bitcoin, we're kind of like, you pretty much can say we've probably seen the bottom, right? If we hit up to 80K again, to think it's going to go back down in the 50s or something, it just showed there's too much strength, man. People are buying everything. All the big guys are just swooping it up every time we have dips. Bitcoin's holding up through insane amounts of pressure from so many different angles in the world. So you got to think like Bitcoin's strength is really growing. And at some point, it's just going to explode, man. Like, it can only be held down so long, and it's actually held up better than I thought it would. So anyway, let's go into it. First story, let's see what we got here. Okay, so BTC is stalling around 72, 73 in the resistance zone. This is from CoinDesk. Despite a geopolitical risk on boost, crypto markets remain range bound. Bitcoin hovering around 71, 72K. Now, let's talk about the altcoins real quick. ETH is at like 2,200, which is holding pretty strong too. It hit almost 2,300, 7.5% from Bloomberg. And we'll go right into one of the stories. So Tom Lee's firm bought 71,000 ETH last week. Now Tom Lee he's a pretty big name in the industry, but he's made some horrible calls and he's said some ridiculously bullish things. And he's been wrong a lot, but he's also been right about a lot of things. And the one thing I do like is putting his money where his mouth is. They bought a hell of a lot of Ethereum. I think Ethereum's a really good buy around 2K. I just don't see it going back down to like 1,000, right? I hope it does because I'll buy a bunch of it. But there's just so much going on with Ethereum. You have these guys buying it. And he said, this is his words, he said, the bottom is in. The ceasefire is the starting gun. His firm bought 71,000 ETH last week. And that's not a prediction. That is like a position, right? So when the largest corporate ETH buyer on earth says the bottom is in and buys 71,000 Ethereum, I don't even know how much that is in dollars, but it's a lot of money, right? And you can't ignore it. So we'll see what happens. But, I think the smart people have been here longer than I have. And it always kind of plays out the same. You got to take positions when things seem pretty bare and there's all kinds of whenever you have opportunities to catch things at the low, if you're in this for the long haul, to this day, it has never been a bad move. And unless you think the entire industry is going to crumble and disappear, which is kind of crazy with all the new infrastructure and things building and governments accepting it, things like the Straits of Hormuz are allowing you to use Bitcoin to get through to bring oil. This is all stuff it's happening, right? And you have to zoom out and you have to, like, all you little haters in the comments that, like, all I'm doing is giving you guys the daily stories, man. I'm not sitting here trying to make predictions on what's going to happen. I'm just telling you what I would do and what I've been doing for 10 years. And that's all you can do, right? You can just take educated guesses on what you think. I personally think crypto is going to continue to grow and evolve into one of the, main financial powers in the world. And it's already going in that direction. And if you can just like avoid all of the nonsense and actually make your own decisions and actually care to look into what's going on, there is some crazy opportunities in the industry. And I've been here a long time. Like, I keep saying that. And when I first got into crypto, it was like, the first 2 or 3 years, this is when like the Stone Age, man, like nobody believed in it. Nobody thought Bitcoin was ever going to do anything. It was like a scam. Everyone thought everything's a scam. And there is a lot of scams in the industry. Don't get me wrong. I would say 95% of the stuff you see is probably people trying to take your money and extract. But there is a huge amount of people in this industry that are like striving to make major things happen. And there's opportunities that can change your life if you pay attention. And right now we are in a bear market, and we could have hit the bottom of the bear market. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to go shoot straight up into crazy numbers. That doesn't mean we're going to go straight up to all-time highs next month, but it does mean that you have an opportunity over the next year to take positions and things, to start learning about the industry and make plays that can change your life, right? And get into projects and things that are making massive strides in the world. And that's all you can ask for in any industry. This isn't just in crypto. It's like if you pay attention to what's happening, especially new things that are coming out in the bear market, most of the big plays start in the bear market and then they ride up into the bull run, and that's where they go to insane heights. Like I always say, you don't want to be buying in and jumping into things when it's peaking, when you see everything on your timeline and everyone's excited about Bitcoin again and everyone's bullish about meme coins and this and that. You got to be looking for the gems now that are being created, and then you get in early, man. Everything is about positioning and timing in this industry. And if you can figure out how to time things right, or take some gambles on things that you actually do some research on and look at, it's really not that hard of a game to play. It's just, it's hard to avoid a lot of the nonsense online, right? And that's where people get caught up. And most of the time, it's not that you didn't get in early, it's that you didn't sell when you should have sold. It's very easy to make money in crypto on the way up. It's just hard to sell it because you start getting fed all this nonsense about things going up forever. And yeah, I don't know. Well, that's why I'm here every day, to give you guys some news and try to help guide you guys into a direction where you can make your own educated decisions, right? And as the market gets hotter, I will start talking about projects and things that I think could be potential. I'll never tell you to buy anything because nobody knows, right? But all you can do is just, take the information you got and do your own research. So anyway, moving on. That was a bit of a rant. But I had to say it, man. I see a lot of you haters in the comments talking, and like, most of the people that say negative things all the time, one, they've either been burnt, right? They probably got into some stuff that wrecked them. Two, they missed the boat and they never jumped in the first place, and they've watched Bitcoin go from $8,000 up to 120, and then they just can't handle it and they just want to hate on everything. And then you have people just saying, oh, it's a scam, that really don't even know what they're talking about, and they don't do any real research. They're just regurgitating nonsense they see. But the smart people take advantage of opportunities, and you start learning about things. Don't be one of the guys that's watched Bitcoin go up 4 times in a row and you've missed the boat every single time, and you're going to probably do it again within the next 2 years. Don't be that guy. And I speak from experience, man. Like when I got into crypto, like I didn't have any money, man. This is 10, 12 years ago. And the first 2-3 years, I didn't make any money, and I just stuck to it because I believed in it. And I had some really, when you're in the space and you're around it and you're learning, opportunities just pop up. And there's 2 types of people. There's people that watch it go by. There's people that take chances. And I really don't think crypto is an industry at this point where if you're very, very risk averse and scared and it might not be the industry for you. Really, I always tell that to people. I say, depends on what type of person you are. You got to be able to have thick skin. You got to be able to take chances on some things if you want to make major gains. Or you can, if you want to just be risk averse, just jump into stuff like Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's nothing wrong with that. And just put your money in it when it's at the low and just sit back and just let that appreciate over time, right? That's probably a lot of people say that's the best way to do it. I like the action. I'm a degenerate too. So I like to play around. I like Bitcoin. I like it all. I like everything about the industry. And as the market heats up and there's more, I don't really talk about much right now because there's not a lot of stuff popping up that I'm like excited about besides the big boys. So I won't even talk about it, right? Because I would never want to give like information that's, doesn't have a good opportunity to make some money. But I will start talking about that stuff. So make sure you like and subscribe. I kind of got off track. Like we're talking about stories here. So yeah, okay, ceasefire. Now the ceasefire is obviously going to be a big deal for price appreciation if we're going to see the market start moving in that direction. But the reality is it's until we don't know if that ceasefire is going to like stay, right? Like they say a lot of things. If one side starts going back on their word and they start bombing each other or whatever, now we're going to see a big dump. So if everything goes to plan and they actually do a ceasefire for the next 12 days, that's negotiation times. Hopefully they come to some kind of resolution on both sides to where we can put an end to this and then the market can go crazy, because that's really the only thing that's like really holding people back, is like the uncertainty in the world and what's going to happen. And I'm not a political guy. Like I'm not, when I talk about what's going on in the war and stuff, I'm not trying to say who's right and this and that. Obviously, I'm from America. I want us to win and I want to end this war, but I care about Bitcoin and crypto. I care about like what's going to help the market do well. And that's my main purpose, right? And that's like the only thing I really look at, because it's my livelihood. So I'm not going to sit here and get political and start taking sides and this and that on what I think is right and wrong. But at the end of the day, I want crypto to do well. And I know that this war is not going to help crypto. Anyway, moving on. So Tommy Lee calls for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin bottom's in. We've seen the bottom, right? I kind of agree with him. We'll see what happens. And they're putting their money where their mouth is, right? The biggest inflow of ETFs has happened last week. Tons of money flowing into ETFs. Michael Saylor is buying insane amounts of Bitcoin with MicroStrategies. I like to follow big money. I like to follow the guys that are making real moves and actually can move the market, and that's who I pay attention to. And it's, you know, it's not that hard of an industry to watch and understand if you're really paying attention. So this will be our wrap up for the day. We're out of ceasefire. It looks good right now. Bitcoin's actually doing pretty decent. It's holding 72. And there is a lot of stuff happening on the degen side. Meme coins are starting to pop off. I'm not really jumping into any right now because I like to see, you know, when things are going crazy and the market's popping, it's really easy to make good decisions. And when things are kind of shaky, things can look good and then they can dump, and it's just, you know, it's a little easier to make good decisions when things are ripping. And yeah, that's it. Make sure you guys are nice to each other. Tomorrow, I will keep you guys updated every single day, no matter what, on what's going on. Those are probably the two biggest stories today. Let me see if there's anything I'm missing. So the ceasefire expires on the 22nd. So we'll see what happens in the next like 10 days. I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be good moving into the next month. And we'll see, though. Much love, you guys. Like, subscribe. Peace.